Greetings, friends. For the past 3 nights, the Russians have been carrying out combined massive air attacks against Ukraine using drones, ballistic and cruise missiles. In the Kyiv region, almost an entire street in one of the settlements burned down. There is destruction in Kyiv and in other regions of our country. Unfortunately, there are also casualties. Yesterday, in the Zhytomyr region, the Russians killed 3 children at once. These brutal and unjustified air attacks have finally been noticed even across the ocean. The President of the United States, Trump, stated that Vladimir Putin has lost his mind.
I really don't like what Putin is doing. He is killing people.
But something has happened to him. He has simply gone mad. He is killing people for no reason.
But don't be too quick to celebrate Trump's new statement, because the old man, as always, is true to his style. After saying that Vladimir Putin has lost his mind, he also lashed out at the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. It's not clear at all what for.
And at the same time, Zelensky isn't helping his country with the way he speaks. Everything he says only makes the situation more complicated.
But I know exactly what will make the situation easier. Russian occupiers need to die on an industrial scale, and for that we need to ramp up the supply of FPV kamikaze drones for the Ukrainian military. So start donating to the current Rosoraz right now. The payment details are in the description.
These drones will fly straight into the faces and heads of the occupiers, freeing our land from everything unnecessary and unwanted.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything important. Just go ahead and subscribe right now if you haven't already. While the so-called Russian Federation was attacking Ukrainian cities and killing children, Ukraine was also launching massive attacks on the so-called Russian Federation, because this is a game that two can play. Oh.
They got hit again. Oh, that's so good. Wow. That's great.
That's truly the remarkable work of our dedicated air defense system.
About 10 explosions were heard in the city of Tula in the so-called Russian Federation, and the Dmitrievsky chemical plant in the Ivanovo region was also hit.
The plant.
Another one is coming, another one is coming.
That one's already at the plant.
At the plant.
I just, still cannot quite fully understand it. The Russians, they truly support the Russian-Ukrainian war, and they willingly go to fight against Ukraine. They genuinely seem to like this war against Ukraine. However, when the actual war comes to their very own territory, they immediately start to cry and complain. Among other things, Ukrainian drones also attacked Yelabuga or Alabugain, other words, the place in Tatarstan where Russian-Iranian Shahed drones are assembled. It's still unclear whether Ukrainian drones actually hit there, but it seems that Russian air defense did. And separately, we definitely should extend our sincere thanks to our very special correspondent for providing such a remarkably detailed report directly from the scene of the events.
There was an explosion. Up to now, that explosion you heard. The explosion happened over there on that side, and it was a very, very loud explosion. All the explosions are happening over there. Welcome to the mountain. Long live the UAV.
The so-called Russian Ministry of War and Russian propagandists are complaining that these recent attacks on so-called Russia have been among the most massive yet. They claim that as many as 2,000 UAVs were flying.
2,000, you understand? That's 2,000. You said it right on topic, about 2,000 drones. Almost all of them were shot down by missiles.
Of course, they shot down absolutely all Ukrainian drones. No one doubts it, there wasn't a single hit. But even if we were to believe the Russians that they supposedly shot down all the Ukrainian drones, it still has a serious economic effect, an economic blow to the so-called Russia, because airports are being shut down.
The enemy has chosen an astonishingly horribly simple and effective tactic for striking the Russian Federation. The operation of all the airports in the capital is being blocked.
And what will happen to air traffic on Russia's western borders?
I've already talked about this. The suspension of air traffic in the European part of the so-called Russian Federation could seriously impact the Russian economy. But to this we should also add the collateral losses that our enemy might suffer. For example, in the Tver region the other day, Russians fired at their own plane because they thought it was a drone. They narrowly missed the intended targets. If such persistent and reckless attacks continue to occur, it is highly probable that sooner or later the Russian forces will inadvertently end up shooting down one of their own civilian passenger planes, leading to a catastrophic and tragic incident. Remember, they already shot down an Azerbaijani plane.
It was flying from the direction of the storm. But later they explained, WH another dot.
Ukrainian strikes on the territory of so-called Russia are of course wonderful. We like that. Although just like our Russophobia, it will never be enough. But let's return to the topic of Russian terrorist attacks. Trump's personal spiritual advisor Burns, as well as Keith Kellogg, Trump's special representative, condemned the Russian attacks.
The constant attacks by Russian forces on Kyiv are a blatant violation of international law and constitute war crime. These attacks are disgraceful. Stop the killings, cease fire immediately.
I'm convinced that Trump didn't want to comment on this topic, but journalists caught up with him and started asking questions anyway, so he had no choice, and as you know, he condemned the Russian airstrikes. But when it came to the specific question, so when will there be sanctions, he once again didn't say anything substantive.
Yes, I'll give you an update. I don't like what Putin is doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what happened to Putin. I've known him for a long time, always got along well with him. But he's launching missiles at cities and killing people. And I really don't like that at all.
You previously spoke about imposing additional sanctions against Russia. Are you considering that today? Absolutely.
He's killing a lot of people. I don't know what's going to happen to him.
He has been considering the issue of imposing new sanctions against the so-called Russian Federation since January, but still hasn't made a decision. The Russians see his indecisiveness and take advantage of it. That's exactly why the Russians have intensified their air attacks against Ukraine. Their goal is blackmail and terror, terrorizing the civilian population. They want to break the morale of Ukrainians, but they are mistaken. The very weak foreign policy of the United States of America has inspired the Russians and made them more self-confident. They are convinced that they have already won the Russo-Ukrainian war.
That, well, yes, Ukraine has lost. Now the only question is how? Here's the map. Like this or like that.
But when the enemy becomes too overconfident, they start making more mistakes. And the Russians will make their next mistake today, tomorrow, or in the coming days, when they present their so-called memorandum on a ceasefire. But in reality, it will just be yet another ultimatum to Ukraine.
Right now, as soon as the prisoner exchange is completed, we will be ready by that time to hand over to the Ukrainian side a draft of such a document, which the Russian side is currently finalizing.
I have to repeat, don't count on Trump or on the Russians just leaving us alone for no reason. That will not happen. Right now we need to support our military even more, especially with kamikaze drones, which even Trump is impressed by.
We see drones descending at an angle with such speed and precision. We have never seen anything like this before. And we are learning from it.
For Ukraine to withstand, we need to carry out a large-scale comprehensive military reform. And of course, we need even more different types of drones, including FPV. And thanks to you, our soldiers have received another 300 new kamikaze drones.
Good evening, studio. This is the quick desk unit on the line. We're coming to you with breaking news. The Sternenko community has provided us with 50 of these awesome heavy-duty FPV drones to help create a sanitary zone on the territory of the BNR. Glory to Ukraine.
Wishing you strength. The Code 111 unit of the 111th Territorial Defense Brigade. We express our immense gratitude to Mr. Serhiy, the Sternenko Foundation, and the Sternenko community for providing 50 FPV drones. These drones will fly straight at the occupiers' faces and heads, liberating our land from everything unnecessary and unwanted. Once again, I want to thank everyone who actively donates and helps our military. You are doing this in the most difficult and defining time for our country. Thank you all once again. Glory to Ukraine.
We wish you strength, dear Ukrainians. Today, we received 100 maneuverable Rusaris drones, for which we express our deep gratitude. We also want to thank Mr. Serhiy Sternenko and his community on behalf of our entire Apache FPV strike unit. Thank you. Glory to Ukraine.
Special Operations Forces, thank you to the Sternenko community for these drones. Together, we will create the Rusaris. Remember your history. Write your own future.
We, the fighters of the Unmanned Systems Battalion of the 36th Marine Brigade, express our sincere gratitude to the Sternenko community and personally to Serhiy for their contribution in providing combat units with effective antivirus equipment. We urge the public to take part in fundraising for Rusaroids. Only together can we stand against this horde. Together to victory. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the heroes. I'll be honest, I don't know what will happen next. I am convinced that Ukraine will still face very difficult times, but I am confident that we can endure if we remain united, carry out the necessary reforms, and support Ukraine's security and defense forces.